And we are back.
Well, now we're gonna see a run back of a game that we saw like a few hours ago. I believe now it's Plat versus Yhrem. Both really top players from PDX Paradox Engine, so I'm guessing they kind of know each other somewhat well. They might know what their playstyle is and what kind of moves they might use, what kind of reads they might make. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting match to see. If you look at their teams, right, we've seen like both teams quite a lot today, right? We have Matt GS Senior Plat. We've just seen him today, like so many times just now as well. We've seen his Toxics, we've seen his Yowler. They're all so strong. On the other side, we have Yhrem. Yhrem has this very raid boss team, right? And I think, in my opinion, raid boss is one of the few ways you can defeat Senior Plat that is not using like wins or mentals or like Tems that are just super effective into Plat, right? Because if you have maybe a Chimerian on your side that was very effective into Senior Plat, and I think it might be very good again because of that rage. Once it gets up rage, it's going to start fragging into Plat.
Yeah, and as you said, like this is rematch, and actually I just checked. We cast that first game, so it's also for us the the rematch. So yeah, what to say about these teams that we haven't said already?
I mean, there is still quite a lot, right? When we saw those games with Senior Plat and Yhrem, those games kind of did not go like the same way as a lot of the other games we've seen go down today, right? A lot of the times when you have these players, they go play game 2 and 3, they kind of have a similar game plan, but when we saw those games, those were insane. Like game 1, you had it go completely differently, and then Plat came back in the end. Yhrem, well, I believe it was like a whole battle between Matt's Mimit Chimerian versus Yrem's Chimerian, and then there was so much setting up on both sides. You had the Mimit copy at Ninja, so like I'm looking forward to how these players can just surprise us. But like there's still so much on the table that we still have to see, right?
Yeah. I'm just gonna roll with the matches because honestly, at this point, I have no idea what they're gonna cook because I'm just gonna enjoy the games and see what they're gonna come out with, and if there's some spice going on.
In the past, we've seen Senior Plat always target that Shuin as its first ban, probably because you do not want that Shuin to cancel any of the toxic ticks for Senior Plat, or counter buff, like have Yhrem have his own raid boss against like maybe Yowler, right? So I think we're probably going to see a similar thing. But honestly, I would not be against like maybe Senior Plat banning out the Chimerian instead as well, because that's one Tem that can always easily set up into Senior Plat, and as well as have bait against a lot of like the toxic ticks, right?
Yeah, but as you said, like that Shuin is getting insta banned, like not even thinking about it. He just goes for the Shuin, and we see the Mimit from Plat's Mimit getting banned, and Yhrem opening with a Mimit of himself. So I'd say that's kind of a classical move when you're on blue to open with a Mimit, so that you basically give yourself a counter pick and putting your opponent at the risk of first picking.
Like they can't really counter pick against a Mimit, right? Unless like you have a very specific game plan where like certain 2 Tems are just not that great for the Mimit to copy. Maybe that's something Senior Plat can look forward to. Otherwise, it is quite a nice pick, and you can counter pick to it. But I believe if I was Yhrem, I would still just pick up that Chimerian or maybe another similar raid boss Tem. But like the first 2 Tems that Senior Plat has picked, Hazmat and Platimus, they are really good into like the 2 Tems that Plat doesn't like, which are Chimerian and Magmut, in my opinion, as those 2 Tems can just set up and get going.
Yeah, and so he picks indeed something to counter those 2, and that's something we haven't seen yet, I believe. In the other match, I
think we saw it once, but we didn't see it being first pick, right? That's strange.
Yeah. So that's a change of opener for Yhrem.
Honestly, I would be really interested if like maybe the Mimit could even transform into the Adora, right? Because Adora kind of involves a lot of like Plat's team, but at the same time, it is decently weak into like Shuin having Crystal Bite, Cycrox having harmful microwaves, and a toxic slime neurotoxins. So it's going to be interesting to see what Yhrem will use the Mimit into, or maybe even just swap it out and like transform into something like Shuin later, right? Maybe even a Nidrasil to use spores onto like a Scarabolt or to heal the Pocus. So it's going to be interesting to see what like priorities Yhrem has. Does he want more turn 1 pressure, or is he going for more like a long term kind of like mindset here?
Yeah, and we see Yowler not being picked by Plat. So
and we do have Ouroboros, to be fair, and Pocus, so this makes sense.
Yeah. So that makes sense, but no bear shenanigans this time. Nah, makes me sad.
One thing that is very scary though is that Hazrat, it does have heat up, so and right now it looks like a very free board for that Hazrat to just like press that heat up move, because Ouroboros, it does not have that high of a special attack compared to some other Tems, and even if it like is ran, it usually does not have too high of an attack, special attack invest, as it needs to invest in other stats like defense. So it doesn't look like it will hurt Hazrat a lot. The Mimit, on the other hand, also is not going to deal much damage into like the Rat turn 1, but I'm guessing because he wants more turn 1 pressure, he transformed into the Platymus, as the Platymus can just aquatic whirlwind the Azrat. So it does look like quite a like Yhrem does not want to lose too much momentum here, so he decides to just transform that Mimit right now, and also absorbs that aquatic bullet very well.
Yeah, because now we see the Hazrat indeed being in danger. And well, that Mimit is still quite good against all of Plat's back, right? Because it can't be poisoned, so that Cycrox all of a sudden has 2 targets to neurotoxins, because before I would guess that neurotoxins would just go into the Adoro.
Well, you have another way of like defeating Adoro, and you see it right here, which is to just aim down Adoro with your +3 Lava Wave. But even a +3 Lava Wave does not do enough damage. But I do not like this from Yhrem. You're using a Toxin Shower into Tems that do not really care about Toxin Shower. And you're letting this Hazrat just roam free. And we've seen what this Hazrat can do if it's not like immediately taken down, right?
Yeah, it's a religious hazard, in my opinion, because it believes, it has faith in not dying, and it does not die. So I don't know what god it's praying, but I would like some of that.
Absolutely. He does decide to save that Hazard, as it doesn't want it to get aquatic whirlwind, and this is an amazing swap, as now you can't really aquatic whirlwind that Nidrasil won't do anything. So instead, Yhrem breeds this and does a very good play. Urishal into that Shuin makes it will slowly and eventually die, and with this brilliant guts, it does mean that Urishal will eventually take that Shuin down, and it has very little ways of healing itself, because Nidrasil using spores is not a very effective move into Shuin, as it probably will deal a decent chunk into Shuin, as it's super effective. But maybe Plat, he could risk it, but I don't think he would find enough value in that. We do see the Diabolo go into the Adora burst, which is quite nice, as it was on very low HP, so perhaps it might still see more value.
Yeah, because now that Adora can switch out and come back later for a little bit more utility, because at 1% it didn't do a lot, but at 30 it's still pretty healthy.
And now we see this like Toxin Shower shenanigans really hammering into Plat's team.
Yeah,
barely not enough. Yes.
Yeah, barely not enough to kill the Shuin, but yeah.
That does mean Nidrasil gets more buffs, which is very annoying for Yhrem. But as you see over here, the allergic spread generating absolutely no value because of how the Calabish just came in and took it all to its face. Calabish, again, is an absolute superstar in this game, possibly. The only thing it's lacking is healing, but otherwise it kind of completely evolves a lot of Tems, right?
Yeah, being a toxic Tem into a toxic team is it's already a good thing. But then you're bulky, you're tanky, you can deal a pretty respectable amount of damage, except if you water blade into into neutral. But
Yeah. But here's like the cool thing, right? Calibus has honestly one of my opinion one of the best traits as well at Mucus. It makes it so it receives a lot less damage from toxic attacks. And that does make it so like it won't be taking too much from like toxic attacks of Platymus or Nidrasil, right? Not to mention that Calibus has talismans, so Cyclops is also not really a threat into that Calibus unless maybe like Platymus can rotting goo the Calibus or like lava wave the Calibus so the talisman is turned off.
yeah, so we see it getting back in, well, pulled back in into Yrem's backpack, belt. I don't know where you stuck them parts, but whatever. And Adoro, well, not taking a lot of damage.
Yeah,
Like,
it's barely taking any damage.
Like, probably Yrem's Toxin Shower probably did more damage than Plat and Yggdrasil combined, so...
Like, I think Plat right now is just trying to use as little stamina as possible to, like, just, like, slowly chip down Calibus, well, which slots into Ouroboros now.
Yeah.
If this was a nutrition bar Ouroboros, by the way, it would be so amazing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it would be healing more than it would be taking damage, right? This is the strength of nutrition bar, which I believe Yhrem does not run on his Ouroboros, but instead run on his Magma, which is also another extremely superb user of.
Yeah, his Adoro is running Reactive Vial, so which played against him in their last best of 3, I believe. So
yeah, it was actually like it made it so it took more damage from a Yowler.
Yeah, from the Yowler, exactly. Yeah.
The Toxic Ink barely enough to take down Ouroboros. Here's a very small fun fact about Temtem. In the damage formula, there is a minimum damage for like neutral hits that they will at least do 7 HP of damage, and this is affected by like multipliers, right? Like super effective, half effective, but it does mean so no matter like how weak your attacks are that are going onto the Adoro, they will still do a decent amount of damage, and we see a refreshing Diabolo onto this Ninja, so this is not looking good for Yhrem. This Ninja who set up +2.
Yeah, that board for Senior Plat is just it's there to stay. I mean, both Temps have been there for like what 3-4 turns, and are still looking pretty much alive, and that doesn't seem like it's gonna change anytime soon.
I feel like Yhrem is just trying to save his Calibus later for that Cycrox and just trying to switch up his Temps right now. Make it so like he can slowly inch down Nidrasil and Platinum. It's just looking harder and harder as the turns pass by. Like I feel like the momentum is shifting more and more into Plat's favor. Like he's winning this war of attrition because he has all of this healing, while all Yhrem is doing is just self-damaging his own Temps with Toxin Shower, right?
Yeah, and well, now that the Platimus has 1 turn of evasion up, the Nidrasil can't spores in it, but yeah, that Pocus took quite some damage just by Yhrem's Mimit. And I was saying the Scaravolt, but
I don't know if I like this, right? Okay, but he does go into the Pocus instead of like I thought maybe they would use a toxic move onto Scaravolt, right? Because Platymus perhaps does not want to use Toxin Shower there, but Senior Plat decides to rest, which is an understandable move, right? Resting on a low stamina Tem, especially that won't die very fast.
Yeah, because looks like he wants to preserve that Nidrasil for the healing and the toxic takes on his opponent. So
maybe, and the healing will just go on the hazard. The Platymus was low on stamina, so it's a very fair swap, right? I feel like Scarabolt over there could have very easily stayed in there, right? I don't think it had to swap, but it's definitely not a bad swap at all. We get more and more chip onto the Yggdrasil, who can't really heal itself compared to how it heals like other Tems, and we do see that swap actually. Okay, no, I'm in the wrong this time, right? That you predicted that Scarabolt, he might just go for an allergic spread there. Then he tried the focus, which barely died on 1 HP. That was like 1 HP differential right there.
Yeah. But now we're gonna see that Scarabolt coming out again, I guess, to get some more baton pass value.
Like, this healing is working pretty well for Yhrem, and the Scarabolt will be a key part of Yrem's game plan if he wants to win this game, right? It needs to be there to take down that Cyclops. It needs to be there to take down the Platymus, and he's doing a pretty good job of healing it, but Marble is somewhat hindering that healing, while also it being naturally weak into some of the toxic ticks that maybe the Plat will throw out here, like Spores, right? Spores into Scarabolt, a lot of value.
Yep. And Toxic Farewell. Ooh, yeah, and that's the double for Yhrem, and Toxic Farewell not playing to its maximum value because of the toxic type of Platymus, not putting 3 ticks of poison on it.
I think this might be a very game deciding turn. Actually, is it even a game deciding turn if I feel like Plat may be already quite under. I feel like he does not have enough tools to defeat this Calibus now.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, doesn't Yhrem just swap in the Calibus and tank whatever Plat's gonna throw at it?
Yeah, and if he decides to toxic line, this very targeted talisman is now probably gonna decide the game, and not to mention the Scarabolt, because it's swapped in and out so many times, is going to live and it's going to land that very crucial electric storm.
E-storm, yeah, and that Scarabolt living at 1 HP again. So, I mean, going down to the toxic tick, but Plat probably wants to kill it before it gets another move off, but then you're still dealing with that Calibus with a Cycrox.
And look at that.
And then there's still a Platymus in the back, so that did 0 damage.
I think I said it once before, because of like how often this Plat just gets so much neutral damage into the side of like Senior Plat, that it just makes it seem like Platinum is such a good Tem into his team, I feel. But I did underestimate how much momentum Yhrem was keeping. I for a long time I thought maybe, Plat has this Yggdrasil at +2/+2. It got the Diabolo. It's gonna give healing to the Platimus and it's gonna give healing to the Hazrat, but it just was not enough. That Hazrat, I believe, from Senior Plat, is not the bulkiest of the Hazrat we've ever seen. So it just got taken down to the Aquatic, and it looks like in the end Yhrem came out on top with that War of Attrition.
Yeah, because like you said, I thought the same. When we saw Plat just sticking with his Yggdrasil and Platymus, and Yhrem just going for the toxic showers and again and damaging his own Tems, I was like, yeah, but in the end, the baton pass value was amazing, and the Calibus. And there we see the Calibus getting first picked.
So and the Calibus I feel like has a very good matchup into Senior Plat. Almost as if this Calibus was almost crafted to go into Senior Plat, right? Because Yhrem knows that Shireen is so good into Plat's team that he just gets to really get Calibus away in the first pick with the talisman, which just decides makes just Cycrox have so much less value than it would normally.
Yeah, and there we see maybe a weakness of Senior Plat's team, that since Yhrem has a Schwinn, he's kind of forced to ban that Schwinn, and since Yhrem also has a Mimit that has been doing amazing work every time, he's kind of locked in between those two, and he's gonna face one of those two, and he's got a really hard time apparently with either Mimit or Schween. So
This time though, there is a small difference, and that's a Volgon. One of the two Tems that Plat struggled into last game were Calibus and Platimus. So this time, Senior Plat has brought a Volgon to just deal more damage into them. However, I do not believe it will help much into Scarabolt, but maybe he has some other like ways to take out the Scarabolt this time.
yeah, and right now the Mimit copying the Hazret or the Volgon, I don't think it's that much of value, right? So Mimit can't just transform turn 1 and start being annoying.
It's so much less value than like a Platimus copy. And I think Senior Plat, he understands this, and I think this board state right now favors Senior Plat a lot more than it does Yhrem. Because you get to like heat up for absolutely free. The Calibus, what was it gonna do? Water Blade, that's not gonna do anything.
I mean, if you're gonna do like what, 10% maybe, and then you're gonna face a beefed up rat. Well, not beefed up because beef up is another move, but a heated up rat all game. So,
but I think in Yhrem's interest, he really wants that Hazard going down, because we did see that Chimerian not being banned this time and going to be picked. The Chimerian, we know it has rage, and like the only thing that's that's good into rage is perhaps the Hazrat, and that's about it. The Shureen does have Crystal Bite, which is going to be like decent damage, but it's not going to be enough to maybe even chunk it down to half HP.
Yeah, that looking at Plat's team, indeed, the Hazret is kind of the only answer to the Chimerian there. So Plat will probably have to play his rats safely.
This time he decides to instantly go into the Scarabolt, because now there is no Platimus that's like threatening the Scarabolt, right? However, the Scarabolt does not appreciate the marbles either, and the Volgon just strangles it.
Yeah.
It does not want the Scarabolt to pull up any shenanigans, and just like locks it out of the turn.
Yeah, and so yeah, but okay, the Water Blade still did 20%, so that's decent damage. But I guess the rat is going out now and coming back later when the Chimerian is out.
Honestly, I feel like you could just stay in an attack. Like, you can wastewater the Scarabolt slot pretty freely, as there is very little that's like going to Hazard. Right? Like a Water Blade, again, we've seen how little damage that does, and all Calibus is going to do is take Thunder Strikes, right? It's not going to deal a lot of pressure, so it's honestly very fair for that +3 Hazard to stay in, maybe swap out another turn. Oh
yeah,
my!
I was about to say, or maybe you can just heat up again, because I mean you took 20%, so you're going down to 40, and now you're having a giant rat.
Yeah, it's absolute beefy rat. Something tells me that maybe this was a bit greedy, but that Strangle locking out the Pocus again does make it so that Hazard will be able to like either leave or just like land a hit very unpunished. So this does look a lot more in Senior Plat's favor this time.
Yeah, and now we're seeing the rat being switched out for Nidrasil, and I guess we're gonna see the Pocus getting Scarabolt.
I like this a lot. You get so much Baton Pass value, and now you have Fire Tornado up, you have Magma Cannon up. But Magma Cannon was Magnetonics one, I think, not Senior Plat's one, so never mind. And you do have Fire Tornado up, which is quite good into Nidrasil, but Plat recognizes this possible swap and goes into Platimus of his own. He probably knows that he does not kill with that Aquatic Whirlwind, but that's still very good amount of damage into Scarabolt, and probably will kill if it's doubled into with maybe a Toxic Ink with the ticks, or perhaps just like Spores as well also works. We do see the Chimerian come out now, as there is no Hazard on the field, and he wants to get as much value as right now before it, leaves, before it like gets pushed away by the Hazard. The allergic spread does go into Scarabolt. That's a lot of value right there, but the Chimerian does pay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm fond of this Chimerian this turn actually, because Plat is gonna swap into that rat again, right? Because his Diablo is coming off next turn, I believe. And in my opinion, my game plan was like, okay, you get Platimus online, and then you get rat again, and you're getting the Diablo on the rat, and your rat is full life with a +6 attack.
Yeah, here was my thought, right? I think this is like exact kind of move that if I was Plat, I would do. Like here, you have Bar Shield up now because your Ninja Soul lived, but the bigger plan was that you have Refreshing Diabolo, and you can just use Toxic Shower to evade any hit from Chimerian, any hit from Scaravolt, that's just kill the Scaravolt. So it does put like the momentum into like Senior Plat's hand, and it's just, I don't know if like Yhrem can come back from this.
Yeah, and there we see the Mimit probably gonna maybe copying the
I would probably go after the
both of them are pretty good to be copied right now.
The only problem is, right, you have a +6 Hazrat in the back, and I think Platimus would deal a lot better into that Hazrat than maybe a Ninja Soul would.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same, but if you copy Ninja Soul, you're just adding another Fire Weak to your team, and that's not really where you want to be with a giant rat coming at you.
And now that the bait is down, we do see the Toxic Takes go into Platimus, that Bark Shield, oh no.
That did nothing. That Chimerian did no damage at all.
Nothing.
Because the Platimus is just gonna go up to 90+% again.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
yeah, that's
you know, if this game does go into game 3, I really want like Yhrem to maybe just first ban that Hazrat this time instead of banning the Mimit. I do understand why he banned the Mimit, but I feel like the Hazrat just generates so much like momentum that Yhrem has a difficulty coming back from that. The only reason I feel like he got that momentum back in game 1 was because he copied that Platimus, and which he did again, but this game the Platimus is facing a +6 Hazrat. And the Vulcan.
That's not really the spot where you want to be in, because that Chimerian, okay, it's dealing some damage, but it's already dead, so you don't really need to focus that slot anymore. So you can just double in on the other slot every turn.
Yeah, like if I have to think about a way that perhaps Yhrem can come back into this game, I think it's going to have to be to abuse your focus and your Platimus to quickly just take down whatever kind of like aggression Hazrat can throw at you before it basically can move, right? You have Aquatic Whirlwind, and if the focus is fast enough, it can just beta burst Aquatic. It probably will be enough to take down that Hazrat. Maybe Plat is preparing for that and might be going for like a Force Shield perhaps into the Hazrat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking the same, like the Schwinn coming out. Now Quad Shield is up, and you swap the Vulcan out.
What else is up right now? It's Crystal Deluge.
Yeah, I was about to say, but you also have that Crystal Deluge, so you can put that Mimit to sleep.
I do think the Mimit might be faster than the Schwinn.
I was about to say that the +2 is maybe outspeeding a Schwinn, so...
Yeah, but then the only way you're outspeeding with the Schwinn is with Aquatic, and you really do not want Aquatic to be down while like Hazrat is still there in the pipe, because you need that Aquatic for the Hazrat. Instead,
you need to grow it for the rat, so you're kind of locked on that slot.
oh wow.
That was a nice move actually to prevent the 4 turns of poison on that by isolating that Calavis.
Honestly, I feel like it's the other way around in my like point of view. I feel like that Mimit should not have Euryshelled the Schwinn at all, right? Because if Euryshell, like, you kind of knew Plat would be clicking that Deluge this turn. He has so much value in doing that. If he clicks it on the Mimit, you're slower than the Schwinn, so you don't get to click a move. If it goes on the Calibus, you can't get any value from Euryshell. And anyways, right? I feel like you really want to take down that Volgon as soon as possible. So instead of just like hitting the Schwinn with the Euryshell, slowly taking it down. You kind of just want to kill the Volgon before it starts like really just like drilling into you with Thunderstrike. And Ampere outburst as well.
Yeah, and because now we see that Ampere outburst coming in, and yeah, Volgon still getting value even though it's low on life. It doesn't really matter.
And yeah,
because as long as you're alive, you can do stuff.
It's just like the same thing will happen with Hazard, right? Like this Volgon, Yhrem did not take down that Volgon when he needed to, and now it's just alive and is going to use a Thunderstrike into the 3 Tems of Yhrem, who are all weak to electric. So it does not look very good for Yhrem right now. In fact, I would even say it might just be game over.
Yeah, because that D-Strike did a lot of damage also. So everybody resting, nobody swapping out. Volgon not being able to move this turn, but oh, there's the Diabolo. Focus getting back to a little under 50%,
but that still does mean that Shireen now has Crystal Deluge up again, and he can really sleep like that Mimislaw right now, right? But instead, snrplat decides to just take that Volgon out and put in his Platimus.
And not doing nothing. Crystal Bite. Killing the Poké. Oh.
Yeah, oh wow, okay. That Shireen surprisingly does a lot more damage than you would think, right?
Yeah, its defensive stats aren't that high, but it can still deal quite some damage. Like I don't think it has any attack investment.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. But here's the thing, right? A lot of the mentals in Temtem, they have very high special defense and quite low defense. And even if you invest into the defense, you're usually not getting as much defense as you are getting special defense. So Crystal Bite is a very nice addition to the move pool of Shireen. We do see the Toxin Shower waking up the Calibus up from the Crystal Deluge, so that doesn't really matter. But you're still how are you going to take down that Hazrat in the back? Not to mention there is also the +3 defense Platimus, right? That's another thing you're gonna have to try to take out, but it does not look like it's going to be.
Yeah, Plat just keeping that rat in the back, right? To come out, even if I don't even think it has to come out at one point, but yeah, just chilling in the back, waiting for Yhrem to use all its stamina, and then it's gonna come out and sweep.
They come out on a very safe turn, right? And now Mimit is also taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, I guess it has to come out now since Plat only has 2 Tems left, but that's a full life Platimus and an almost full life Hazrat against 2 Tems that are on the brink of death. So I think that's game over.
The Mimit does have Toxin Shower, but Hazrat can very easily click Wastewater into the Calibus, just take it down from that very little bit of HP left. I guess you're really trying to Hail Mary, go for maybe Aquatic, either test how much Aquatic does. Well, that doesn't even kill because of Mucus. Oh wow.
Yeah, but his Hail Mary won't be enough because the gods are with that Hazrat.
At least you kind of test out, right, how much damage that Platimus does into the Hazrat. I feel like that's somewhat important if you want to let the Hazrat go again.
Yeah. So we will be seeing a game 3.
Yeah, we will be seeing a game 3. This time, I really want Yhrem to kind of just change up their strategy a bit. Maybe instead of first banning the Mimit, just try to first ban the Hazrat, right? And instead of picking Chimerian first, now you can pick it maybe try second, but no, it doesn't look like Yhrem is going. No, Yhrem does ban the Hazrat first.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. He heard you. He's probably on the stream listening to your advice. And there we see a double Mimit opener. I like those little blue eyes looking at each other like hello. And wait, if I'm not mistaken, Luluk also has a Mimit, right? So that means the the 3 teams running a Mimit made it to the top 3.
Oh wow! So you kind of know which Tem is really strong right now, right? Mimit is like, okay, it's not one. You can't just say it's good, right? Mimit is super strong in the hands of a good player, but in the hands of a player who does not know how to use it well, it's like it's probably not that great of an attempt, like that great of an attempt, right? So you can just see how it like scales exponentially with how good a player is to how good the Mimit performs. We do see the Yhrem not picking up his Chimerian probably does not want the Chimerian to get copied, right? As it does do quite well into Yrem's team, but I feel like maybe that's not that big of a worry if you can maybe pick up that Magma. Honestly, I would rather have banned the Platypus if I was Yhrem and went just full on like start raid bossing that Magma, because Magma looks so good into a lot of Temps on the Plat side.
Yeah. Yeah, you just need to take care of the Platypus and then you're free to roll.
The Calibus is a decent counter pick into the Cycrox, however, it does not have much or any board pressure whatsoever. However, what Yhrem does potentially have is his own neurotoxins. Maybe that is something that is crucial for Yrem's game plan here. I think it could be a huge game-changing thing where you take away neurotoxins and you put it onto something that really does not want to die on the Plat side. So we see everything.
We're gonna see neurotoxins. All right.
Everything.
Plat reading that and.
Yeah, kind of reading this. You're right.
Okay, but Cycrox. Well, the real Cycrox, the original, the OG Cycrox, not playing this turn, and leaving the clones to do the dirty job.
Like that. Those Cycroxes, right? They don't have any potential to do like any Tem on your M side, but that doesn't mean that they can't just go full smork harmful microwaves, because Digi is good against Digi and Yhrem makes his own Digi this time.
Yeah, and I just see a blue Cycrox and a red Cycrox, so one of them seems like an imposter to me. I'm having some weird flashbacks right now.
We also do have Shireen on. No, we don't have Shireen. Okay, I don't know what I'm saying, but because we don't have Shireen, right? We can have that Mimit on the side of Yhrem. Just use Toxic Slime on any of the Tems on the side of Senior Plat and just doom it for a turn. Then we do see another harmful microwave exchange. However, it does favor Senior Plat a bit, as Senior Plat does have a nutrition bar, while Yhrem kind of lacking here. Maybe I would like to see a swap right now into Scaravolt.
Yeah, because that Mimit will die to a double in from the double Cycroxes. So
and
need a swap on out.
And the other two Tems in the back, right? You have Aduroboros and Pocus. They also do not like the Digi moves at all. So I feel like this Scaravolt was maybe a turn too late. Like if you swapped this into like one harmful compared to two harmfuls, and then you would have got an E-Storm here at this turn, it would have been so much better off than just using, what was it, harmful on to that Mimit, right?
Yeah, because that did like 40% okay, but that doesn't put it in range of being killed by anything. And now we're seeing Plat basically running a weird form of Digi-aggro.
It's like the slowest Digi-aggro we've seen. We've seen Plat use like Arachnite as well before, but this is just something else. Does go for a double swap this turn, right? Does not want to take an Electric Storm on his two Cycroxes, which are so good into the back. So you just swap into these two Temps that easily might eat it any day, any time. Although Ninja Soul does not like the Fire Nado, so it's still not that bad for Yhrem, but at the same time, Yhrem also does not appreciate any of the toxic ticks the Ninja Soul can throw out.
Yeah. And now that Calibus can also go on break. But nope. Actually, Plat says you're not going on break. You're in to stay here.
Well, Scaravolt, on the other hand, says, I'm not trapped with you, you're trapped with me.
Yeah, indeed. Like
that is
Midwest is trapped with the Scaravolt, so
Oh, the water plate outspeeds and kills, right? Of course, that's actually really good for the side of senior plat, the Yhrem, right? Because that Scarwold is pretty important for, you know, the Thames in the back, for
Yeah.
like Platypus, Cyclops, and the other Cyclops. But at the same time, you have these two Thames overexerted, and do you know what move Volgon has up again? It's Cage. Oh no,
Once
Platypus is
again, oh,
it's a very free entry for
and
Platypus.
so Cage into 2 Thames that are overexerted is, and yeah, there you see it. So that's basically a 1 turn of freeze for Yhrem, and there comes the Ear Shell, so that Scarwold is dead.
It's like on its way, right? You just have to use one Aqua Bullet Hell, I believe, just takes on Scarwold. Then you have Volgon, it can continue to just harass the Calibus, maybe have a rest, or just like use Thunderstrike to just like get chip as much as possible, right? In terms of like just the Thames alive, I think this is really in favor of Senior Plat now, because that double Cyclops looks very difficult to deal into.
Yeah, because I mean, doesn't even need the double Cyclops because there's still that huge Platymus, and that Diablo is also still on. So that Volgon can come back to a healthy amount of HP.
This might be a turn of like neurotoxins onto the Platymus, but as we did see before, I think it was Prody, is that if you are going to neurotoxins a Platymus, right, it has so many ways of just knocking it off, like Toxin Shower into Cage. However, it doesn't look like the Mimit even outspeeds the Platymus, so I don't know if this is a good idea for Yhrem here to just sacrifice his Mimit like this. I really do not like this. Oh, and the Mimit does go down. That Mimit...
Yeah, so still no Doom this match. That's just Senior Plat making his own talisman, right? Yeah, I don't have a talisman, but I don't need it if I just outright kill you.
Like, we have to acknowledge that Cyclops is a very slow temp, and even if you get +2 on a very slow temp, that doesn't mean it's just suddenly going to outspeed things, right? Like how it did with the Platymus. So that is looking really bad for Senior Plat here. In any case, even if the Platymus got Doom, right, there's many ways to push it off.
Yeah, because now you see the Pogus getting his 4 ticks of poison, and okay, Platymus exhausted this turn. Volgon is sleeping, so
and like click and press, right? That's a move that we've seen from Yhrem. Has probably like gonna go here, so it's not gonna wake up that Volgon, and it's gonna deal some decent damage. However, it doesn't look like it's nearly gonna be enough for like the kind of action that Yhrem needs. Like, you look at the Thames in the back, you look at the Platymus, and like, it doesn't look like any of these Thames are gonna like go down before, you know, Yhrem slowly gets chipped away and just taken down. And this Platymus is just gonna keep on living and living and living with a Toxin Shower. Denigrate does not bother it at all because Determine is a very solid trait. And not to mention its very high base special defense, naturally going to help it tank a lot of the hits from Focus and Ouroboros, who do not like the digital hits on the side of Senior Plat. Oh, this is not looking too good.
Yeah. As you said, now it's time for Cyclops, one of the Cyclopses to come out. Okay, it's the Imposter Cyclops coming out, and yeah, one of those slots is gonna get microwaved.
Yeah, it does look like the Focus is on the brink of death. Perhaps he wants to finish off that Focus first. He also rolled as the Calibus is not on field.
Of course, yeah. You still get both of them are caged, so no Calibus doesn't have time to come in. So now that Arturo is as good as dead, and the talisman didn't work.
Like Senior Plat here He's thinking several turns ahead. He's caging in these two mentals so he can doom an attempt later to just finish off Yhrem faster. In the end, I feel like with double harmful microwaves, the Doro would still go down to just like brute force. It does mean so like that Yhrem has even lower chances of coming back right now.
Yeah, because now that Mimit is sleeping, it doesn't really matter because the left slot is dead anyway to one hit, so... Oh, he even wakes up his Mimit.
Well, just wakes it up. What's the point of sleep, right?
Of course. Yeah. Sleep is overrated. No need to sleep here.
A lot of I think players at these top levels, right? They are very aware of sleep works, and they've been constantly awaking, just reawaking their Tems whenever they get slept. I think we saw it. I believe it was Lulich or was it Magnetonics? Someone who side P-jab. I think they're side point. I think it was Lulich, right? So it wakes up and it gets to line and wreck off, right?
Yeah, so and that's the classical, I'd say, strangle into a last turn of Doom. So that's a dead slot.
And the focus as well on a sliver of HP does not look like it will be doing much. It does not look like Yhrem will be progressing back to the grand finals. Oh my god.
Yeah, because that focus is just dead to a toxin shower, and then you can just put that Calabash into the microwave until it explodes.
The microwave is not doing a lot of damage, but at the same time, Calabash cannot kill anything. We've seen how little damage this Calabash does, and this Platypus just keep on gonna evade and evade and evade. It does not look like this Calabash has a chance here. It could just kill this Mimit, but then it has what? Is it a full HP? No, it's a 2/3 HP Cyclops there. That's easily I think Plat can just go to turn 25 if he Yhrem does not want to concede this game yet.
Yeah. So when they said this is a stall patch, well, there you go. I guess it's not the kind of stall we were expecting, but it's the kind of stall that we get.
Yeah, it's a very different type of stall. There's no stat buffs here, right? It's all we see is more and more just very little damage.
Yeah.
I do not believe that Yrem's Calabash, although he is trying very hard, right? Water Jet is a hard-hitting move. Water Blade does decent damage to the Cyclops. In the end, if snrplat just plays it correctly, it does not look like there is going to be a chance for him to come back. Maybe one thing that we could have seen from Yrem's, instead of picking Calabash first and Mimit, maybe instead he could have gone with Chimerian and Calabash perhaps, right? Chimerian to just set up into snrplat's face. If snrplat's Mimit decides to copy into Yrem's Chimerian, Yhrem does have a Magmut and the Scarable to just take down that enemy Chimerian on the side of snrplat. Maybe that might have been a better game plan for Yhrem to going for a very stally kind of toxic based game. He might have expected the Cycrocs with Toxic Clem to do a lot more, but in the end it just did not do enough.
Yeah, and we see that Calabash slowly going down.
The Cycrocs is also getting slowly ticked a bit while the Platypus is low on stamina. However, I do believe as it is turn 24, there is no way for Yhrem to deal enough damage to that Platypus before he just clicks Toxin Shower while also killing that Cycrocs.
Yeah, and there's the win for snrplat. So he will be progressing into the grand finals. The villain of Temtem, as he's called.
As he's called by J Dragon, Kagman, and all the others. The most toxic player in Temtem, as some would call him. Either way, he does masterfully navigate his toxic Tems to victory that has in game 1 and 2 generated a lot of pressure. Although in game 1, Yhrem did play a wonderful game with his Platypus. In game 2, the double heat up as well as all the other toxic Tems, the Volgon was huge in both games in my opinion, right? Strangle into Rest into Ampere Outburst into Strangle, this amount of control is honestly just superb. However, we will leave it maybe to, I believe, East and B flattened for the post-game analysis for this game.
Yeah, but since the finals is full French, like, shouldn't we be casting it in French now?
Is it French?
Yeah, I mean, chat has been telling me for like over an hour that Plat is actually French, and Lulush is, I believe, Swiss, but on the French side of Switzerland. So I think
they are trolling you. Don't worry.
Okay.
I believe Lulush is Swiss, but Senior Plat is, as he is the top player in North America right now. He does come from North America, and he could just take America to their win, or maybe Lulush takes EMEA to their very unexpected win in this mid-tier invitational. So now we will pass the torch over to B Flatten and East to do the analysis, while Norweaver, this might be our final game, but if the games in the upper bracket, they do go to bracket reset, we might come back for a final word. So It was really fun casting with you, and
same. It was a blast. So maybe we'll see each other again a little later. But if not, well, I hope we'll get to cast again sometimes.
Yep, and we'll see. We'll see like the post analysis now, I guess, from East and B5.
Yep. Well,
all right.
See y'all
later.
Cool. And what a series that was. There's really just a couple things to say about that in favor of Plat. Technical and mechanical. That came down to wanting to figure out the initial pick and ban. Port Shield and Schween on opposing Plat was always needed to be banned, but that means that Mimit has to come in. And Mimit was always the problem in both sets that we saw here. Even in game number 1 of this set, Mimit was the problem. Plat had to figure out how to counter this Mimit, and he did so in game 2 and 3 so that he was able to play his team. He wants to play Control, he wants to play Original, he wants to get the Toxics in. The craziest play in that match, though, the Cage to lock in both Mentals, get the Doom off on the Adoro, keep the Calibus Talisman out, which is what Yhrem wanted to sort of rely on when it came to the Cycrox Doom, but he was able to keep that control in his favor to take that 2-1 win in the rematch. They've saw each other in winners. This is losers bracket, and Plat ended up taking that win. What a match, though.
Zut alors, we're going to have a couple Grand Baguettes in our all-French finals coming up, B-Flattened. It's going to be a great time. I want to offer a bit of a different perspective on how I think Plat was able to take the series back. A big problem that he had, that he was trying to get over with Yhrem, is Yhrem kept leading Mimit into him and taking like really valuable toxic Tems. Like we saw in game 1 of this series, he took Platimus. Before he took Nid. Before that, he took Schween. And like those things activated Yhrem's game plan. So Plat, after leading his Hazrat in game number 2 and seeing the Mimic counterpick, went, what if I just pick the Tem that is like actually really, really bad? And then he cracked the code. He led the Volgon, which was such a bad Tem that Yhrem wouldn't steal it. Right? Like the Volgon is so bad in that matchup that even Yhrem was like, no thanks, I'm good, and like swapped out turn 1. And that ended up being a huge tempo swing for Plat that he ended up being able to do. And you saw it again in game 3. Plat fearlessly just threw the Volgon on the board, be like, copy this, idiot, and just like put down this Tem that is just like something that would not normally, because you saw in the earlier games and in the previous set, Plat would never first 2 Volgon. He doesn't like first 2ing Volgon. He doesn't think it's very good, right? Obviously. But that was the key. Play the bad Tem in the matchup, and then your opponent playing the Mimit will never copy it.
Plat was really wanting to stick to his game plan through and through. He was always dedicated to banning the Schween. He was always dedicated to throwing in nearly the same leads in almost every game. It was like Hazrat Schween, it was Schween Nid, always the way to play his team. But yeah, he needed to switch up his game plan if he wanted to do that and take the win, because most of his Tems are really good against him, and striking Mimit is just the exact thing that Yhrem needed to take that win. But Volgon Hazrat, no, he doesn't want to take either of those. He wants to take the support Toxic or even Schween to get his tempo going as well.
And then we saw in game 3 you're going to steal my stuff. Well, he goes ahead and picks the type that lets him leverage the digital type advantage to be like, I'm just going to do better than your Cycrox. And I would imagine that Plat has enough ways built into his team, even though he doesn't run Talisman, to deal with Doom. So he's fine with giving Yhrem access to Doom. He has ways of clearing it. We saw Prody do it with Toxin Shower Cage play from the Volgon. Volgon having Cage actually makes it very hard for either Tem to go down to Doom, because it applies a status to both Temps. So Volgon can clear a status from itself using Ampere Outburst and Cage. And then on the other side of things, if he has a Toxin Shower, if he has any way of applying a second status on the other Tem, Volgon can completely clear Doom. So we're going to go to break, and then we're going to get the first set of grand finals. Like we said, we're excited for a French showdown between Lulatror, who's actually Swiss, and snrplat, who's actually American. And we're going to figure that out as we come back here from that short break. Don't go anywhere.